Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Hey, docs, welcome to another episode of Modern Chiropractic Mastery. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. Dr. Bobby Maybee, who co-owns and operates Chiropractic Success Academy with myself. We created that in 2018 and we're still going strong. It's a self-guided online platform for you to help grow your practice. And we put lessons in there. And he recently put one in the academy that I felt was very good on difficult patients and quote unquote. And sometimes the patients are difficult. But sometimes we also have to reflect, and it's just, are we difficult? Are we not having a larger bandwidth of types of people we want to treat or like to treat? And so he has a lot of good information. I'll let him explain that in this lesson. So we took the audio from the video lesson and we are making it the podcast today. And you can check out more with Chiropractic Success Academy at csacircle.com. A lot of good information on there. Very affordable, and it's month to month, and it can get you in the right direction. So without further ado, here is Dr. Bobby Maybee with a CSA lesson on difficult patients.
All right, everyone, welcome to this module for the Chiropractic Success Academy. I am Dr. Bobby Maybee, and this is a topic dear and near to everyone's hearts. We're talking today about dealing with difficult patients. So I want to make the distinction before we even start. There are two categories I'm going to talk about here when we talk about difficult patients. One is, of course, our standard disruptive, troublemaking, difficult patient for the practice. And we're going to cover that quite a bit here. Second is what I think is most important for CSA members to understand. There are members of our practice that are not difficult, we just don't like them. And we don't want them in our office, whether that's consciously or subconsciously. And a lot of times it's pretty subconscious that our doctors will eliminate practice members who they just don't really jive with. Now, I want you to do like a little personal internal survey for yourself. What percentage do you think in your practice do you sort of eliminate the non-ideal patients on a regular basis? So you can make it annual. Is it 10%, 11%? And by non-preferred patient, I mean like you have a certain way of practicing, you really like rehab and they're just not really into rehab that much. They smell, they move too slow or ask too many questions. I've seen posts on Facebook like, I had a patient today that had an offensive tattoo. Their tattoo offended me. Should I kick them out of my office? They just don't jive. Just don't kind of meld with what you want to create for your ideal dream practice. What percentage do you think that is for your practice? Is it 10% over the year? 25, 50? Or is there a certain number that you are subconsciously removing from the practice as the year goes on? Now, at the same time as you have that number in your head, let's talk about if you feel, or if you get the gnawing effect in your gut that you're not making enough money or you're not successful in practice, or you're not growing. The point of this little exercise here is to get you to understand that you do need a certain percentage in your office of people that you just don't like. Not that are difficult, disruptive, demonic patients, but ones that, they just don't really fit. They're not the best fit for the way that you like to practice. They're not going to be your best friend. You're not going golfing with them someday. So you sort of like, you don't have to come back, Jim. Mary, it seems like you're doing pretty good. No, I don't think you need any maintenance care or rehab. Seems like you're out of pain. See you later. Or you just kind of hope they go away. You do need a certain percentage of those people for success. And I put it arbitrarily at 10%. I think the 10% margin, if you can hang on to 10% of the people you just really don't get along with, it's going to help your practice out quite a bit. And so this takes a lot of removing the ego, removing your own hubris from your practice, understanding that you may not like or even get along with a lot of the people who come into your office, but they still need love, care, and attention. And some of those people, small percent, end up being wonderful people once they're out of pain. I definitely learned this early on in my career, because early on in my career, I just wanted to get rid of anyone that just wasn't fun to work with. And that's not the way to do it. So if you are struggling or if you're looking to grow, you need to consider this idea of non-favorable patients in your office and whether you're kicking them out consciously or subconsciously or trying to work with them. Now, this is going to generate questions. And when we talk about the actual difficult patients, that's going to generate questions as well. It's going to generate scenarios. Well, what about this scenario? What about this person? What about this type? Ask the questions in the Facebook group or send us a message at yourcsacircle@gmail.com, and me and Kevin can answer that for you. But you definitely need to be conscious of that thing that I just mentioned. Are you subconsciously removing people from your practice because you just don't like to work with them, or they make you uncomfortable? They vote for a different political party. Mine was like they were New York Giants fans. San Francisco Giants fans, baseball, and I'm a Dodger fan. There was stuff like that, anything to kind of get you to be like, I don't want to work with this person. Suck it up. Sometimes you got to suck it up and take care of them, and it'll make a difference in your margins. So once again, not everybody is a difficult patient. Some patients you just don't favor working with. Work on that ratio. Talk about the ratio in the chat too. Let's be real about the subject.
Let's take a break from today's episode and announce our first sponsor. This is going to be Propel Marketing and Design. I've known Darcy Sullivan for years. We've worked hand in hand on my websites. I don't trust anybody else to do this search engine optimization. She does a great job. There's so much to it. A lot of the lingo and the words are beyond my comprehension, but it's just amazing work that she does. And if you're really going to get results with Google, you have to make sure your website is SEO optimized. And I really don't want you doing it yourself as a chiropractor. So you just have to have this type of stuff done. And if you're looking to get more organic online traffic that pulls in new patients, Propel Marketing and Design is currently offering chiropractors who listen to this podcast a free SEO website review. The free review will help you uncover methods that will improve your website and boost your search engine visibility. Head over to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor and schedule your free SEO website review. You won't regret it. She gets great results. Your website needs this. Your search results need this. Head on over there to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor to get your free SEO website review.
Now, difficult patients, truly difficult patients, exhibit disruptive behavior. They repeatedly violate boundaries. They ignore your recommendations. They're late. They don't pay their bill. They manipulate you or your staff. They create just a toxic environment in the clinic. This is a completely different category. These are the people that need a different response, which is usually referral, firing and referral, right? So with these people, you do need to have and establish clear boundaries. From scheduling to treatment plans to office behavior to your tone of voice, you need to define to them what is acceptable, and then you also need to document when the boundaries are pushed. So this is another aspect of documentation that is really important for clinic management. Now, I wouldn't say, if it was treatment related boundary violations, you want to write those in your chart notes. If it's more clinic policy boundary violations, you want to have a message book, note sheet, or in your software, your electronic software for record taking and scheduling, some sort of area where you can make notes on the patient, and you would document that within those notes. But you do not negotiate with these folks. If a patient constantly challenges your recommendations, brings in Dr. Google recommendations that, are just completely offensive, refuses to follow basic care instructions, there's all issues with all that stuff. So you don't want to negotiate with that. You want to set a clear boundary that, it's your house, it's your license, it's your office, it's your way or the highway. But you want this to be based on policy, not your personality or not what the doctor says. So you would never want to hear like, at the front, Mary, we have to charge you a late fee or a no-show fee. We have to charge you a no-show fee um, because this is your third no-show in the last 2 months. This is, our doctor told us we have to do this. You do not want that. You want if you ever have to, I guess you'd call it discipline or say things to a patient that address their misbehavior, it's office policy. Always back up to office policy. We don't accept people who harass our staff members. That is a strict office policy of ours. You're not invited here anymore. I'm going to send you a list of possible chiropractors you can see that are nearby, but you're not welcome here anymore. Always relate it to office policy and not doctor preference, or that's how our staff runs it, or that's how we do it around here. It's our clinic policy is, or in order to continue care here, we require, and that helps you avoid the power struggles because there are some people that'll disagree and they're like, well, the doctor does it this way. They'll be, oh, come on, man, let me just talk to him. I'll straighten him out. I'll get the doctor to see my point of view. Office policy. There's one incident not too long ago where we inherited a patient and we had heard that she typically shows up late and just kind of wants things her way and railroads people through. And it was the day that I was not going to be tolerant of that sort of stuff. So we're very busy. And in the parking lot is in front of a big window and you can see people pull up. You see, Mary pull up in her Audi and you're like, oh, Mary's here. And Jim will pull up in his Jeep, like Jim's here. And this car pulled up and it just stopped. I'm like, well, that must be the new patient we inherited. And the appointment, let's just say it was at like 10 a.m. And so 10 a.m. comes up and you can still see the patient out there in their car on the phone. And is the staff like, isn't she supposed to be in here already? It's like appointment time. You're going to be behind schedule here. Yeah, well, she's out there in the car. Do you want us to go get her? No, it's not your job to go get her or even assume that that's her at all. She should be in here on a time on her own. And then 10:05, you can still see her out in the car on the phone. And it's just like, wow, man. I think it was about 10, 12. It was about 12, 15 minutes later that she finally comes in and I, we'll make up a name. Like, well, I'm Judith. I'm here for my appointment. And it's like, I had directed the staff when she came in, ma'am, your appointment was at 10 a.m. It is now 10:15. We cannot see you anymore. You're going to have to reschedule. Completely offended. She was. Yeah, but I'm here now. Like, why can't you see me now? I'm here. I'm here now. You can just take me in. Ma'am, our office policy, especially with new patients, is that you're here not just on time, but early to complete any paperwork or any other questions we might have before we get started. And so that the doctor can get started right on time and give you the full time you need for your appointment and also offer for the other patients who are here their full time and the doctor's attention. It's going to matter and matter. The volume in the office can get to a certain level where as the doctor, okay, I got to go over there and rescue my staff and handle this. I just walked over. So we have an office policy. You're not fitting the office policy. Now you're making it very difficult for our staff. It's another aspect of our office policy that we don't put stress on the staff like this. They have very specific directions. You're not following them. I will not see you. And not only that, I'm not going to see you at all. So we'll give you referrals for some people you can see around here, but it won't be here. And she started crying, and there's all that, there's all the things that they're going to do to try to get you to do what they want to do the way they want it done. Office policy, goodbye. And you know what? Early on in my career, I would say my bosses, when I was an associate, would be upset at that because I had bosses, clinic owners that wanted to see don't turn anybody away. Don't ever turn anybody away. Take the worst, take them all, take the shit because we are going to make the money. Totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate. I think you need to understand within yourself and within your own boundaries and your own office policies who to take, who not to take, who's appropriate to fire, and who's inappropriate to fire. And in this case, in our world and in my years of experience and knowing where this goes in the future, I know this patient is going to be a liability every moment that they're there. I also know from experience and from my years of practicing that if I get that energy and keep it out of the office, like if you keep it out before you take it in, there's no problem. But if you take it in and then try to get it out, you're going to have an issue. It's very difficult to fire a patient you've already accepted. So just don't take the patient at all if you get the sensation, if you get the intuition that something's not working here. Next, I also knew if I get that energy out of the office before it even comes in, the phone's going to ring 4 more times for new patients. And that is what happened. Keep the negative out, and then there's more room for positive to come in.
Let's take a short break for one of our great sponsors, TrackStat. It is a new type of software plugin for your EHR that combines patient communication, marketing, automation, and statistics with patient and employee tracking. Built by chiropractors for chiropractors, it shows your team what to focus on each day. See patient visit habits, missing information, unpaid bills, insurance collection visit average, and more. Great visibility of data so you can focus on filling your office with your best patients. When you can see what your staff and patients are doing or not doing and take action accordingly, your profits naturally grow. Take TrackStat for a test drive in your office with our free trial. Not a techie, no problem, we can help. To get started on your free trial, visit trackstat.org and watch the demo. That is trackstat.org.
Now, these office policies are very important for this issue also. Your staff, if you have staff, they were also, not just you, but they're also subconsciously kicking your patients out that they don't like, that they're not comfortable with, that they don't want to work with. And you don't want that at all. You don't want your staff determining who gets to fire or keep a patient. So I understand the clinic owners that I worked for when I was an associate saying, like, you don't fire anybody, even if you are a doctor. We do the firing if we have to. And they never would, but you don't want your staff doing that as well. So this is why you still need to tie it to office policy. Jenny, the office manager, no, we don't do it that way. If you have an issue with the patient that gets to a certain level and you think they need to be removed from the practice, you have to come to me first and discuss it. Always reviewing your scheduling book. Hey, why isn't that couple, Steve and Joanne, why haven't they been in here a while? Oh, well, they just really haven't scheduled. Well, didn't we like do a recall exercise last week where we were supposed to call everybody on our active care patient list? Yeah, yeah, we did that. Did you call those two? Well, no. These are the clues that your office staff could be subconsciously firing people kind of behind your back. And you need to be on top of that as well. It needs to be part of your management retinue to make sure that the staff isn't firing patients they don't like because it's not their job to do that. They need to go through a policy for patient removal. And that policy for patient removal should also include whatever state regulations you have for firing patients. So that's one end check mark on the checklist to know whether a patient's been discharged properly or not, or if your staff just sort of got rid of them. So that, all that is the synopsis of sticking to policy, not personality, not just your personal doctor personality, but your staff's personality as well. You can't fire people on a feeling. You have to fire people on some sort of violation of your office policies. And you might give some green lights. A caveat for some green lights, everyone manages a little different. You can totally green light and empower your staff. Like, look, if any of these, like, if any of these patients are extremely rude to you, uh, harassing you, any of that sort of stuff, just get rid of them. You could do that, but talk to me about it first, type of thing.
Let's take a short break from today's episode to tell you about the best decision I've made in my clinic in the last 10 years, and that has been adding shockwave therapy to our clinic. The outcomes have been really impressive. Certain conditions we were struggling with in the past, we're now seeing results with the shockwave therapy for that. And second of all, the ROI has been really good. When you make a big investment in something, you want to see a return, and we're seeing that return in clinical outcomes and in our investment, and that's been really nice to see. I chose Keenest Medical for 4 reasons. One is the technology is top notch. You have to have great technology. There's a lot out there that isn't quite up to snuff. The second thing is they have a really good clinical training. They have an exclusive partnership with Academy of Shockwave Excellence so that you can become clinically proficient in shockwave. You do need to get skilled at it. I think that's a big differentiator between practices that are getting great results and seeing the ROI is they have a great clinical aspect to that as well. So you want to get trained appropriately. Third is they have in-house service team for all of your technical support, which is key when you're investing in a machine like this. And then lastly, they have a very in-depth marketing and business support for you so that you can launch this into your practice effectively, that you can get that ROI on it, that you can get the clinical outcomes. And they also have really good financing options if you need that. So go to keenestmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, mention MCM podcast and receive a free shockwave in practice book with a purchase of a unit. So that's keenestmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, and mention MCM podcast.
Next, as I mentioned before, documentation. You do want to document everything. Once again, if it's clinic related, make sure it's in the chart notes. The treatment related, it's in the chart notes. Uh, you know, not adhering to treatment plan, it's in the chart notes. But if it's office related, then that goes into a different notation system, like in your EMR, under their own notes for the patient themselves. And you don't have to treat everybody. I'm just trying to say, be a little bit more open to treating the people you're not all that stoked about. You'll never know how that turns out. They might be the biggest curmudgeon in the world. They might not be your best friend in the world, but you do a good job with them. You show them respect and all that anyways, and they end up referring a bunch of people. It happens. Okay, so here's some tools you need to have for these situations. I got 4 tools. You need a behavioral discharge policy in your clinic manual. What's a clinic manual? Let's not start that. We've talked about that elsewhere in the Chiropractic Success Academy. You do need a clinic manual as well. It helps to be a training manual. It helps for you to refer to staff. Like, don't you know our policy on firing patients? It's on page 14 of our clinic manual. Go ahead and open that up and read that for me and let me know that you read it. A behavioral discharge policy. This is our policy when patients are misbehaving. This is how we handle it. Certain levels, we have warnings, talking to, discuss with the doctor before taking any action. These actions here specifically allow the staff to immediately discharge a patient. This is how we discharge a patient. A non-compliance note template. So a non-compliance note template is, like there's a couple ways you can do this. If it's once again a treatment related one that can go in the chart notes, you can create macros for any of these different scenarios. If you have EMR, like the note template is just sort of like how you would write this out so that it's consistent amongst many patients. So if somebody was kind of a jerk to the front desk, you don't want the front desk to type out, Mr. Smith was a complete asshole today. No, you want a note template that says, when we have somebody, this kind of goes with the discharge policy. We have somebody who is rude to the staff. Inside their EMR notes, we will write, patient was rude, combative, non-compliant today. So we took this action. We gave them a warning. We told them that that's not appropriate. We told them that we will not tolerate it anymore. We discharged them from this practice and then gave them referrals to local chiropractors within the community, and we will be mailing a written letter, whatever your state policies are. So you need discharge policy, non-compliance note template. It's short, factual, and objective is basically the point. You need a way to write these things that are short, factual, and objective, just in case anyone looks into it. A verbal script, oh my God, scripts. You need to have some way to train your staff to redirect disruptive behavior, to create peace within the office, to manage whatever's going on without making a huge scene, but also be effective at ending the issue at the same time. So it might not be a very specific script, but it might be a training regimen or some little guidelines for how people in your staff can handle these situations and how you yourself would handle these situations. So scripting of some type is number 3. Number 4 is a boundary checklist for the front desk to spot red flags early. Now, my staff, it would blow their mind. It would, and if you're there yet, you know what I'm talking about too, with staff and you just getting the intuition or knowing like, oh, that patient's going to be a problem, without even meeting the patient yet, just observing them in the waiting room and how they communicate. Or through your first exam, this patient, you can tell they're going to go this way. Well, this patient, you can tell this is going to be an issue here. In the personal injury world, there are like good cases and questionable cases that you get sometimes referred to you from an attorney or that walk in the door. And you're like, oh, this is a bad case. This person's going to be a problem. So you need to sort of not just be the intuitive wizard about this. You need to educate your staff on what they should look for as well. Just as we would educate a staff on what to look for, like malingering in the waiting room, there's little things that they can do to identify when they might have an issue, and then they can give you a little signal before your exam or your treatment even starts. Like, I noticed this in the office, in the waiting room. You have we like to do speed demons and speed bumps. Like, you have a speed demon in room 2. That means someone who wants to get in and get out really fast and they don't want a whole bunch of chatter. Or you have a speed bump. You have somebody who you need to slow down with, take your time, and make sure you go real slow with them. And then it's like, with staff, you have a speed bump plus, which means, they're not just very slow, but their speed expectations and movements are tremendously problematic. So just a way to communicate with your staff of when you have yellow or red flags that are going to kind of trigger some of these actions. And all that stuff is trainable. You could even probably go on ChatGPT and say, I need, for difficult patients within my practice, I need a behavioral discharge policy for my clinic manual. I need a non-compliance note template for my staff and myself on how to report non-compliance within the office that is short, factual, and objective. I need a verbal script for redirecting disruptive behaviors when they're happening. And I need a boundary checklist for the front desk and the staff to spot any red flags or problem patients early. Push enter, it'll shoot out an AI thing, and then you can change it as you feel. And I want you to have one success story as we leave, because we're done here. So if you don't want to hear the success story, you got all the information, you can go. But I was in my early practice, I was referred a motorcycle gang member who was hit on his motorcycle and injured. Attorney referred him. Motorcycle gang member, Hell's Angels. And him and his old lady, they call their wives old ladies, but none of these ladies are old. So a lot of these ladies, you want to check their ID. And I didn't want to see the guy. Like, he certainly had other issues. You could probably figure he was like a $120 under all of his leather gear, smoked a pack a day, probably 30 years. There's just a lot of like, you don't want to mess with me attitude. And I'm a big dog and the Hells Angels. And I think he was like a chief or the head right, whatever they call the main guy. I haven't seen a motorcycle gang movie or TV show in a long time. Sons of Anarchy, right? And his old lady, I'm hoping she was 18. And there's no way they got fake IDs and stuff. There was no way to, like, this is just crazy. Like, the stuff that was going on was crazy. I didn't feel really comfortable with the guy. Like, I'm not going to be able to do anything for this guy. He's already beat up and half dead as it is, let alone the motorcycle accident. He's not going to do any of the exercises. He's, all that stuff. All that stuff we're just like, I don't know about this one. But treated him like a human being. Put up with his nonsense words, but let him know, like, hey, you can't say that stuff in the office. It's just not cool around a whole bunch of different types of people. Treated his old lady with respect, took care of her. They ended up kind of being compliant patients and doing a really good job and actually recovering very well, which they should. And by the end, it's not like we were best friends or anything, but they made me an honorary Hells Angel. And there were more referrals to come from it, which also had their mixed blend of like trouble and success. But if I had just kicked him out of the door because of my personal proclivities or my personal unwillingness to deal with this person and his old lady, who wasn't old at all, two things. One, they would have never gotten better, and they deserve that right, especially if they're referred for our care. And two, I would have never gained the confidence as a younger chiropractor that I can help a large variety of people, even the people that don't fit right up my alley of the things I love to see, if I just trust my process, be the doctor, and do the work. So take on the challenge of people you don't like. It can improve your practice revenue by 10, 15, 20%. It can improve your referrals. It can improve your confidence. It can improve your communication skills. It can improve your clinical thinking skills when you see things that are a little bit out of your box, presented by people that are totally out of your box, but have zero tolerance for office policy violation. Protect your staff, protect yourself, protect the space between your ears, and protect the energy in your office. I hope this was helpful. Goodbye.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time-free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth. and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things, and we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.